begin any speech with an apology. But you know, we advertised this event for our East Midlands members. Within 48 hours, all the tickets had gone. And so I apologise to all those people who couldn't get in here. And that's before 50,000 people joined the party in the last 2 weeks of December. We're going to need bigger venues for the future, of that there is no doubt. And we're not only growing quickly, but you can feel the energy. You can feel the optimism. We are so far away from the uniparty, which is Labour and Conservative. I mean, look at Starmer and Reeves. I mean, they look like they go into a family funeral every day. And as for the Conservative leader, well, I'll come to that in a moment, actually. I've got to tell you, the last few weeks have been really exciting. It was a very tough phone call on the 23rd of December when I said to the young team in our London office, I'm really sorry, guys, but I think Christmas is cancelled. And they rose to the challenge. They were in the office till 10 o'clock on Christmas Day night, getting graphics, getting videos ready, because I just knew that over the Christmas Day and Boxing Day period, people would be sitting around the table, lunch or dinner, with family, with friends, down the pub, wherever they went, and reform would be a topic of conversation. I was confident that we would, on Boxing Day, go through the number of ballot papers that the Conservative Party sent out in their leadership election last year, and we did it on Boxing Day, and we've gone on 35,000 members more since Boxing Day alone. And it is something we can be very proud of, something we can celebrate, but let's keep it going. Now, all of that was wonderful until about 5 o'clock on Boxing Day afternoon, when a certain individual decided to take to X and put together a complex 5 series of tweets with misspellings and ranting conspiracy theory. Now, the person that put these messages together that said that the Reform live membership ticker, have you been watching the Reform live membership ticker? I get up at 3 o'clock in the morning just to find out how we're doing. No, some wild ranting conspiracy theorist put out on X that somehow we fiddled the numbers and that these were all fake members. And the extraordinary thing is the person who did this, whether they were in wine or not, I don't know, but the person who did this was the leader of the Conservative Party, one Kemi Badenoch. Now, I don't take kindly to being accused of being dishonest. You can call me many things, and people do, and that's fine. But don't call me dishonest. I'm not, and I never, ever have been, and I won't put up with it, and I won't take it, and nor should any of you. So, I gave her an opportunity to apologise for what has now been thoroughly disproven in the media, and she's chosen not to take the opportunity. Although, that's not surprising. She's not exactly known for her charm. So what to do? What to do? Well, it's all well and good saying sue her, but you have to prove actual harm. She hasn't harmed us. She's given us tens of thousands more members. But what I am going to do, and isn't it delightful that the Eastern Region Conference tomorrow takes place at Chelmsford Racecourse, which happens to be in her parliamentary constituency, which is good. And better than that, on the 31st of this month, we booked a big venue, and I'm going to invite all our members and supporters in North West Essex to come along, to meet me, to have a photograph. And we already have 800 supporters in her constituency, nearly 400 of whom have signed up as members. And we'll do a big joint photograph, and I'll tell her, Kemi, not only are these not fake members, but we're now going to make this a target constituency for the next general election. You had your chance. You accused me of being dishonest. You had your chance to apologise. Well, now the gloves are off. So why is it that this party is on the up the way that it is? Why is it there is the optimism in this room? It's because we all know that Britain is broken and Britain needs reform. We know it. We feel it. And we understand it at every level. 37,000 young men crossed the English Channel last year. Nearly all undocumented young males coming straight into four-star hotels with 40 quid a week pocket money, free dental care, free medical care, whilst British military veterans sleep homeless on our streets. It is wrong, it is outrageous, it is appalling, and yet, now this will amaze you. Of all of those that came illegally in 2023, the last year for which we have figures, of all the illegals and asylum seeker claims, only 30% crossed the English Channel. Where did the other 70% come from? Well, a friend of mine has written to the Home Office. They won't give an answer unless we submit a cheque for 600 quid. The government will not give us the true figures. Well, we know it's not just on the back of lorries. It's people coming on visas and overstaying. We are being taken for a ride at every level. And until we can deport those that should not be in our country, until we can do that, and we'll never do that, being signed up to a convention for an outdated court in Strasbourg, we have to leave the ECHR and get rid of those that should not be here. And we've got the courage to say that. We've got the courage to do that, and frankly, nobody else does. And on legal immigration numbers, well, the party that promised us repeatedly net migration of tens of thousands a year in 2023 gave us net migration of nearly 1 million. And it's my view that the population explosion of 10 million, more than 10 million, in the last 20 years is the biggest contributor to our diminishing quality of life. We cannot get access to healthcare. Our children and grandchildren cannot get onto the housing ladder. The traffic is impossible. Nothing works anymore. There's no infrastructure. And this has been done to us, not just by Tony Blair and Labour, but it's been done to us, above all, by a Conservative Party who lied through their teeth at every single general election. And our job now is to replace them as the opposition party in British politics. And that is what we are going to do. Because what can they say? The other week at the dispatch box, at PMQs, Kemi Badenoch said to the Prime Minister, isn't it terrible? Terrible that 1,100 jobs will be lost making vans at Luton. It's all because of your electric vehicle rules and targets and fines. To which Richard Tice heckled and said, but it's your policy in the first place. To which the Prime Minister said, yes. I mean, it's not often Starmer's that sharp, I got to tell you, but he was. And it's the same on net zero. It's the same. You know, why are our businesses paying the most expensive electricity bills in the world? Look what it's doing to our manufacturing sector. Look what it's doing to our competitiveness. Look at what has been put on all of your bills over the last 20 years to subsidize foreign companies putting up wind turbines, all manufactured in China, and the same goes for solar. They are a uni-party. The more they pretend to be different, the more you realise actually they're the same. They're about open borders. They're about high taxes. They're about regulation. And they're not about putting the British people first on anything. And we are. We will put the British people first. We know what our priorities are. But above all, what we need in this country is a change of culture. We are living in societal decline, when nobody has the moral courage to stand up and do what is right for fear of being called names. The fact that the so-called grooming scandal, or shall we call it the mass rape abomination, this is all back in the news. I don't know whether you've read online some of the accounts of what happened to girls as young as 11, 12, and 13 years old. If you haven't read the transcripts online, I advise you not to, because you frankly won't be able to go to sleep. What happened in this country, and it didn't just happen in one place, it wasn't just Oldham, it happened in towns and cities all over the United Kingdom on an industrial scale. And yet, mainstream media did their best not to cover it. Keir Starmer, it would appear, when he had the big job as Director of Public Prosecutions in 2008, chose not to prosecute a grooming mass rape case. The Conservative government did all they could for there not to be a public inquiry. And Jess Phillips this week decides there is no need for a public inquiry. And the police have failed in all of these towns and cities. They dare not say anything for fear of being called racist. Our moral courage is destroying the very values upon which this once great country was built. And what we need is leadership and a party and a movement that understands and knows the difference between what is right and what is wrong, and will speak without fear, without favour. And let's have that public inquiry. Let's expose the truth, and let's make sure people in public life who allow this to happen get their jobs taken from them. It must happen. We face, of course, a number of obstacles. But the one obstacle we don't face is the talent of the opposition we face in the Labour and Conservative parties. That's the good news. We're not up against towering giants, but we have a huge amount of work to do. Here in the East Midlands, we have a whole series of elections happening right across the counties on the 1st of May. We even have some mayoral contests, and you heard from Dame Andrea earlier on today. The disappointment is she's got a sore throat. Otherwise, she would have sung Jerusalem from the stage, but that'll happen next time. So what we have to do, we have to organise, we have to mobilise, we have to professionalise. And that was why I appointed Zia 6 months ago, somebody to help me professionalise this party. And folks, we are making the most astonishing progress, but we need to make more. And we need you to help us doing that. And we've got some great new people joining us. And we've got a newbie who's joined us today. His name is Marco Longhi. He was the Conservative Member of Parliament for Dudley North from 2019 to 2024. And believe it or not, before being in Parliament, he actually had a job. No, really? Yeah, he actually had a job. He worked in business. He was successful. He'd been a loyal member of the Conservative Party for the last goodness knows how many years. Today, former MP Marco Longhi joins Reform UK. I want you to give him a big welcome on this stage.
Conference, good evening. I am a patriot, and I finally feel at home. Why am I here? I am here because of each and every one of you. I am here because of what has happened to our once great country. I am here because the party I have been loyal to over decades, in the good times and in the bad times, has lost its soul. It is unrecognizable. It has changed. I have not. The betrayals we have seen in recent years have been so huge that they eclipse any sense of loyalty I had, and believe me, I had plenty. I had to put you first. I had to put my country first, and that is why I'm here tonight. Let me ask you a question. What do you think it means to be British anymore? Is this a question? Exactly. But I'll bet if you asked your grandfather, they'd have said straight away what it meant to them. Now, there you go. I'll bet he knew. I'll bet he knew. Let me tell you, our heart and our identity, they have been ripped apart at the altar of political correctness, wokery, and all sorts of other things. I mean, if we can't define what a woman is, how can we define anything at all? What right do we have to govern over 50% of our population? And what about political correctness? Well, let me tell you where I stand on political correctness, and make your own minds up. I stopped an asylum hotel in my then constituency of Dudley. I was the only MP to publicly refuse and make a strong statement in the chamber about this, to support the hundreds of asylum applications coming through my office, paid for by who? By all of you. Because you know what? I wanted to put Dudley people first. I wanted to put our people first. Yes, I was called names about that in the chamber, even by some of my own colleagues. But I am the person I am, and I am going to carry on saying the things that need to be said and doing the things that need to be done. They can call me all the names they want to. Totally unchecked immigration. And guess what? A housing crisis to follow. Surprise to surprise. the highest levels of tax and spend. Is that a surprise in these circumstances? A lawless society. Guess what? We've been importing huge levels of criminality into our country at a time when our own police forces, I'm embarrassed to say, are more intent on the moves of the Macarena than the moves of coming to sort out the crime they need to sort out. Our country is at a brink. So, conference, I salute you all. I salute you for your patriotism, for your courage. Someone once said to me, if you are not part of the solution, you are part of the problem. Go away from here tonight and speak to your friends, speak to your family. Let's continue growing the People's Army, marching forwards to a better future. Thank you.
Thank you, Marco. You know, I draw great inspiration from what happened in America on November the 5th. Now, I've been unwavering in my support for Donald Trump, and at times in the last 9 years, that's not always been easy. I've been in a minority of one, it would seem, in British public figures able to stand up for him, but then that's me. I don't court short-term popularity. I stand up and fight for what I believe in life, and I've always thought that Trump was the man the world needs to make it a safer and better place. And of course, alongside him is this remarkable new entrant into American politics. One Elon Musk, who I thought was a hero for buying Twitter, because all of it, Facebook, all the rest of it, if you dared to criticize lockdown, your accounts were suspended. At least with Elon, we've got free speech back. Whether we like everything he says or not, he is a hero. And I'm very pleased that he's backing our party, even if reports of his financial donations or potential donations, as put in the Sunday Times, are somewhat over-exaggerated. But if he begins to do even a fraction of what he sets out to do, to cut back the size of the administrative state in America, he will make America even richer than it currently is, and he'll provide us with the blueprint that we need, because there needs to be a complete change of culture in Britain. We've got to stop talking to young people about 4-day weeks, about work from home, about taxing the rich. We've got to encourage young people, yes, to work hard. No one succeeds in life without working hard. We've got to tell young people, we want them to go and make money. We want them to succeed. We want them to stay in our country and not to emigrate to other parts of the world. But it's becoming harder and harder, because our bureaucratic and administrative state is crushing enterprise. We're putting young people on the sick just because they've got a bout of depression. We are getting societally weaker, as I spoke about earlier, with the rape gangs as an example. But we are getting economically weaker. We are getting poorer. The higher legal immigration goes, the more gross domestic product per person goes down. Our debts are at every level, individual, corporate, national, are getting worse. Our annual interest repayments are now bigger than our defence budget. And yet we borrow more, and we borrow more, and we assume we can go on living like this forever. Folks, we can't. To save our country, we have to make Britain. We've got to make Britain great again, haven't we? We've got to make Britain great again, and we only do that by controlling our borders. We only do that by reasserting our confidence in ourselves, our history, our identity, our tolerance, and what we are and always have been as a nation. And we only do it if we reduce the cost of living for ordinary folk and make the country start making money again, stop sinking deeper into debt, get rid of this culture that it's all right to live off the state, it's all right to go on the sick, when actually we simply can't afford to go on like this. And that's what you'll get from me. You'll get plain speaking. Even if at times what I have to say is harsh, you'll get honest, plain speaking. And I'll do it from a perspective, and I think you know this, at least I hope you do, that I absolutely believe in this country. I believe in its people. I fear we've been appallingly led for the last 20, 25 years, and that this can be turned around. Do you believe we can turn this around? Do you believe we can make our country again something to be proud of? Are you prepared to stand up and get involved and join the People's Army? Please do everything you can, whether it's making phone calls, delivering leaflets, standing as a candidate. Go into the hall as you leave, sign up, become one of our activists. Let's go out and make history. Thank you very much indeed this evening. Thank you.